What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Infamous NYC here, coming back with another build for ESO BGs. If you're a Battleground player, be sure to check out battleofthebuild.com. It is your #1 website for all ESO related Battleground builds. If you're a PvPer and you're looking for competitive PvP builds for Battlegrounds, for all of the classes, whether you play Stamina, Magic, a hybrid, or whether you play a DPS, a tank, or some sort of a support build, be sure to check out battleofthebuild.com. Numerous builds for all of your playstyles. With that said, we are coming back with another build for Stamina DK Heavy Armor. I know Sword and Board's DK got nerfed, at least in terms of puncture and things like and Heroic Slash. They nerfed the damage, but there's other ways to run Heavy Armor DK, and I'm here to show you how. So if you're looking to run Heavy Armor DK, I typically would recommend you go Red Guard. One, because of the reduction to the cost of your weapon ability. So if you're utilizing something like Spell Wall, for this particular build we're using Power Slam, and then of course I'm still going to be using Heroic Splash because DK benefits from the extra ult gen. You still gain the benefit of the extra stamina, as well as whenever you deal direct damage, which just about everything on this build will deal direct damage, you're going to be able to restore stamina. So you'll be able to restore stamina from the Constitution passive, heavy attacks, DK ultimates, a pot, igneous shield, and of course adrenaline rush. With that said, let's jump right into the build. Like I said, we are a Red Guard. Warrior Mundus. Typically you're going to run Warrior Mundus on a Stam DK because they have access to both major and minor brutality. Like I said, this is in Cyrodiil. This is a no CP build. This is a no CP build designed for Battlegrounds group play. This is all points into stamina. In terms of the sets that we're using, I am using 7th Legion. Very good set because of the health regen, as well as the extra weapon damage that it gives you, 350 weapon damage, and it can be backbarred and procced with volatile armor. And you're going to proc it on the back bar. I chose to run a two-handed axe. You're going to run that infused with a weapon glyph to increase your weapon damage. It gives you basically 100% uptime as long as you're going back to your back bar and light attacking. And the axe, of course, is there for the weapon bleed. In terms of the front bar, sword and shield, I'm running agility for the extra stamina. Nirnhoned with a shock for the chance to proc concussion, which will give you an extra 8% damage, and then sturdy on the shield. You're typically going to be reducing the amount of damage that you take via block, so we're running a few pieces of sturdy for that reason. Always run reinforced on your chest to gain the maximum amount, and I'm actually switching over as well to running heavy armor, to running heavy reinforced on the legs as well. I think it's better than running the impen to gain the flat mitigation than the chance, because people don't typically have a high critical in Battlegrounds. So we're running 7th Legion back bar, agility on the front, and then the next set that I decided to pair this up with is the bark skin set for the extra HP, stam recovery, as well as the physical resistance, because the build was a little short and I wanted to be a little bit tankier, not just relying just on block, but also because it gives you, one, it reduces the duration of immobilizations and snares, and it returns HP, and that HP return is 2k. It is increased by major mending, which we have access to via fragmented shield. It gives you 6 seconds. On live, it gives you 6 seconds. Excuse me. Oh my god, a little spam. On live, it gives you 6 seconds. Right? 6 seconds of major mending. So the set, in terms of the HP proc, in terms of everything that you proc HP from, whether it's a pot, whether you're utilizing an ultimate, or anything that procs HP as a heal, make sure you proc major mending first to gain the extra 25%. So even if you're going to utilize an ult, the heal that you get from the ultimate is affected by major mending. Keep that in mind. So this is really good because it gives you also stamina whenever you receive a snare or a root, and there are so many in this patch, and of course that's on a 5-second cooldown. The reason that I wanted to pair that was because my DK is a Red Guard, and Red Guard automatically gains a reduction to the effectiveness of snares, and so this really reduces the overall efficiency of you being snared. The reason being is because I decided not to go with forward momentum, but to keep the burst heal of rally. I'm not sure how many people utilize this set, but I think this is actually a really good set that can be utilized on stamina DK, especially because we're running spell wall on the front bar, and our big burst damage is going to come from power slam. And power slam says while slotted, blocking any attack grants you a stack of resentment, which increases the damage of your next power slam by 5% for 5 seconds, and it scales up to 10 times. So you can gain up to 50% on your next power slam, and it is affected by the blocking that you get from spell wall. And spell wall also affects the proc from Stonekeepers. So it felt like a really good synergy, especially because of how much it restores. It restores 5,000, 5,300 stamina and magicka, and of course, as long as you have major mending up, it's going to proc for 66, 87, almost 6,700 heal. This can occur on a 14-second cooldown. It requires you to block 6 times, and then it will proc. The reason that I liked it is because outside of Bloodspawn, you can actually control when you gain the proc of Stonekeeper, whereas you can't control Bloodspawn, and typically people utilize their ultimates either as an execute or they don't use them right away, so you end up losing out overall because of when you basically, if you have more ultimate, if you have more ult than you actually use. For example, let's say like you have an ultimate ready but then you don't use it, all that serves to do is diminish the amount of regen that you get from Battle Roar, because Battle Roar only restores up to whatever the cost is and not how much you had stored up. That's kind of why for this particular build I thought Stone Key would work really well. It basically gives you, the first piece is basically like a triglyph, and then the second piece is basically controlled by you whenever you basically sit and hold block. If you block 6 attacks, you can block an attack every half second, and that also occurs with, for example, spell wall. But when you proc spell wall will block all the damage outside of dot damage. So all direct damage will be blocked by spell wall, or of course via block, and it procs the extra damage on power slam, as well as proccing the helm from Stonekeeper. So it's an actually really good way to gain the defense of spell wall, but then gain the regen from Stonekeeper, and at the same time gain the extra damage from power slam. It's like it kind of complemented. Basically, there's a really good synergy there. And of course, if you needed to use, you can either use Magma Shell for group play because it gives everybody a damage shield, which I like, or you can run Corrosive because a lot of the damage that you're going to be doing is going to be direct damage, and Corrosive no longer gives you the pen on dots. It only gives you the pen on direct damage, and we're running most of our abilities deal direct damage. Basically everything on our front bar deals direct damage, even though it has dot damage attached to it. It still deals direct damage up front, and it will still be affected by the pen from Corrosive. It's entirely up to you which morph you want to run, but I would recommend running either or. You could run, for example, Dawnbreaker if you wanted to run DB and you wanted to gain access to the extra weapon damage. That weapon damage is the equivalent of an additional 400, which would basically put you at about 5,200 after being buffed. It's entirely up to you. I felt this was a really good way to stay defensive while buffing your offensive, while at the same time buffing your regen. So it had a lot of synergy. This is basically the theory behind the build, and I'll probably be playing this build. I actually have to farm for the helm, which I'll probably do this weekend. We are running Venomous Claw. You can see the tooltips right there. It does upfront damage and a dot, it's almost 16k on the dot. The power slam is a little over 8k, and of course it does increase whenever you block. Every time you block an attack, it will increase by 5%, stacks up to 50%. So you could basically use the ultimate or just kind of turtle for a second if you wanted to find and wait for a little bit of burst damage, you could. And then of course we are still running Heroic Slash. Heroic Slash is there for the minor maim and the ult gen. You can see the tooltip right there on Noxious for the fracture, the direct damage, the AoE dot. On this build I am running Flames of Oblivion, and that's primarily, it hits 2 people for direct damage, flame damage, as well as giving you Major Prophecy as well as Major Savagery. This scales off of your highest offensive stat, and so this is a stamina build, which is why it still deals really good damage for a sword and shield build. The reason I ran Fossilize on the back bar is because most people, if you ever watch people who do run Infused on the back bar, you'll see that they spend a lot of time on their front bar with low uptime on the weapon glyph. So the easiest way to do that is with Fossilize on your back bar. Since Fossilize has a second basically CD, where you can use it again to immobilize somebody and to CC them, I figured it'd be your best bet to run it on your back bar if you're a person who's maybe a little less conscientious about proccing it on the back bar. Keep Fossilize on your back bar so that when you go to the back bar to crit, you'll be sure to proc it, and it also makes sure that you're using the ability, you're using the weapon, so that you're basically trying to proc the bleed as well. Fragmented for the stamina return as well as major mending. For this particular build, like I said, running rally. Take a look at that rally tooltip, baby. That's a no CP rally with a 5,000 tooltip that scales to 300%. That's a 15k rally heal, fully buffed up. I am still running on Resolving Vigor. You can see the tooltip on my Vigor, and then major armor buff is of course there. Like I said, I utilize Magma Shell on my Stam DK. Even though I ran a dot build, I ran maces, so I really didn't miss a lot of the pen, and this provides really good team support for Battlegrounds, especially if your team gets ulti dumped at 50% shield. Think about it, like if you pop a shield like that on me, I have 25k HP in no CP BGs, that means I'm going to get a 12.5k damage shield for the next 10 seconds. Most people sit around 20k HP. That basically gives your entire team a 10k damage shield for 10 seconds, or it gives them at least a little bit of cushion if they've gotten bursted, as well as giving you the damage reduction, because it still gives you the 3% damage reduction. It limits incoming attacks to 3%. It does flame damage, and then of course it'll still give you the battle roar. Still running, I should have mentioned this before, infused on all of the jewelry, because stamina decay benefits the most from running weapon damage, so you're better off running infused, and we still have fairly decent stamina, max stamina. So that's how we're hitting that 40, almost 4,800. We are running infused on all of the jewelry, and then I chose to run 1, 2, 3 pieces of sturdy, and then everything else is impen outside of the 2. So we're running 1, 2, 3 impen, 2 reinforced, and 3 sturdy on this particular build. And of course I typically run max stack, because DK doesn't really need a lot of health recovery, especially if you're running a stam DK as a red guard. You typically don't need to have that much stamina regen, because you can heavy attack, you've got battle roar, you've got igneous spam, heavy attacks, you have red guard whenever you deal direct damage, you have got constitution passive. On this particular build you also have the Stonekeeper. Hope you guys enjoy the build. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any comments in relation, or if you're looking for any help, be sure to check out battleofthebuild.com. There is a section for new players, or for players who are having a little bit of a difficulty in terms of creating builds for themselves. You can go right here, go to the battleground section, and then just tap the about or the how to build, and that will take you here. And there's a big section here with multiple videos on how to create builds for ESO if you're having difficulty in trying to create in Theorycraft for yourself. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button, as it helps recommend the video to other people. And of course, if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Take care.